hot take on chiropractors.
No comment.
There's so much beef.
Not comment. I don't believe anyone will do anything if it's not fun.
That's right.
Like if they don't enjoy it, they won't do it.
If I had time to sit down and micromanage you, okay, I wouldn't be running a business that's doing as well as it is right now. So when you say micromanagement's not my style, like thankfully it's not, because I don't think any business that's full of micromanagement actually ever goes anywhere. Welcome to another episode of the Lat Chat. I'm John Sardi, co-founder at Latitude Accountants. I'm very excited today to bring you Emil Josef from High Performance Health. Emil, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Sean.
I got my Jacob Farmy, my co-pilot.
Thank you.
How you going, mate?
Good, mate.
All right, good. Mate, you've got High Performance Health. I've watched you on your whole journey. Last time I went out a few years ago, you were running a gym, and then somehow you transformed into a health clinic, High Performance Health. And then I keep tap of the numbers and I see what's happening, and just all of a sudden the business blew up. So can you just take me back on that journey? Give me a little bit of the background of where you've come in the last few years and what you're doing at High Performance Health.
Yeah, so I actually started off as a sole trader. Starts about 11 or 12 years ago. So I don't know if you guys know, or many people know, that I ended up in business because I was actually sick for the first 12 months after I graduated uni. So I couldn't work for anyone. I was too scared to do 40 hours a week. I drank water from a waterfall, and it didn't go down well, let's just say that. But ended up doing just sole trader work in different medical centres. That way I could sort of set my own hours. From there, the business model went from me working in medical centres to starting to develop a team in multiple medical centres, where we'd essentially rent rooms. And then got a chance to go into St. Mary's. It was extremely random. There was this gym that popped up, absolute bargain, $450 a week for an entire gym, 400 square metres with all the gym equipment. The issue was this place was extremely run down. And within about 7 months or 8 months of the business, the roof almost caved in, literally. And I was told by the owner, he's like, mate, don't bother renewing the lease. We've got a 20-year offer from a childcare centre. He's like, can you match that? And I was like, mate, I'm not matching a 20-year offer. I've been here for 7 months or 8 months. And so we got out of there real quick, and went back to the medical centre model, which was still working okay at the time, until COVID hit. So when COVID hit, nobody wanted to go into medical centres. Literally, no one wanted to see their doctor. It all became telehealth. And that's extremely hard for exercise physiology, extremely hard for physio, psychology, dietitian, podiatry. We had all that at the time. And instead of that, I thought, you know what, let's open a clinic. And probably the craziest time to do that during COVID. And the funny thing is, like, the gym side of our clinic was half empty for about a year and a half because I don't know if you guys remember, there was a shortage of gym equipment.
Yeah, that's right.
So we couldn't get equipment into our new clinic.
Yeah.
So we went through that. Started with essentially just myself, a physio part-time, and then just a receptionist. And from there, we've grown to, there's 20 of us now.
Wow.
Within 4 years. So we opened, I think, a week or two before Christmas in 2020. So during COVID, peak time. Obviously, that hit us pretty hard. We went through, we opened and closed a few times, the whole isolation rule, all that sort of stuff. So, so it's been a crazy journey, but it's good. Yeah. It's good. It's really rewarding.
I want to break that down further. I want to go into that and look at all the little components that makes, High Performance Health a success. But just to start off, to like introduce yourself a bit and give us a bit of the background. You sent back some of the questionnaire that we sent out, and you mentioned something in there which got me thinking, which is that you were born in Iraq, and then, you know, and there's mention of there about, you know, your house was bombed when you guys were like 3 years old. So can you give me the backstory? Because I know you as a larrikin, and I know you as a self-proclaimed smartass, funny guy. You know what I mean? But when you say something, when you know, I try to reflect on who you are and that sort of that part of your background. I don't know much about that story, so fill us in on your childhood and that journey.
Yeah, so born in Iraq. Dad was a soldier in the army, a doctor in the army. Obviously, mum was a geologist at the time. But at the time there was a war between Iraq and Kuwait. This is
'90s, late 90s?
early 90s, early 90s. And mum just came home one day and was like, oh, something's going on with, you know, something's odd out there. Like, she saw some random people and digging up trenches and all this sort of stuff. And she went around and gathered family and told everyone to essentially get out. And the next day, everything was gone, essentially taken over. From there, parents went to, I think, a relative's house, and then they walked across to Iran.
Wow. So you went on foot. Family went on foot from Iraq to Iran.
Went on foot. Got a lift. Along the way, there was like 15 people in a small car. Got a lift along the way. Managed to make it to Iran. Stayed in Iran in a refugee camp for a year and a half. I think year and a half. And then, we were lucky or blessed to say we got a chance to come to Australia. And when we came here, it wasn't easy. Like, mum had to work. Dad had to study again to do his medical, and had to work in hospital. So it was tough. So we saw them work and I guess build our lives and build their lives again, which wouldn't be easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, so you've got this migrant Western Sydney story, and then what's it like growing up? Tell us about your schooling, your childhood growing up in Western Sydney.
Yeah, grew up in Fairfield, good old Fairfield. Absolutely, I still love the place. I was there for the first time in a couple of years 2 days ago, and hasn't changed. But just loved it. Like, it was just very, very family focused, very family friendly. I think I grew up with mates where, you know, our relationships were built on banter. And that's where I think I became a smart ass. Like, it was really good. Like, mate, I got bullied. Yeah. But you know what? It was fine.
You deserved it.
100%. 100% I did, because I bullied others as well.
100%.
But it was just a good upbringing. Like, it wasn't the easiest. Like, I remember going to Fairfield Station, seeing a mugging like every couple of weeks. You know, your mates would get into fights, mates would do drugs. I've got 2 or 3 mates from school that are in jail for importing drugs now. Like, So there's been a lot.
Where'd you go to school?
Fairfield Pats.
Fairfield Pats.
Yeah, and that was the better school in the area.
Yeah.
So I went to Fairfield Public School at first. But yeah, it's nuts. Like, I've always, you know, there's a lot of my own people there, a lot of the Assyrian people, a lot of the Assyrian community there, but it was a very multicultural place. Like, and it was the best. Like, we all learnt from each other, to be honest. You really got exposed to how different cultures think, how different people think, what they want in their life, what they prioritize, and all that sort of stuff. So it's absolutely loved it. Like, I grew up just playing sports my whole life. Like, even in school, I only cared about sport, didn't care about school.
Yeah. So you what sports were you playing?
Took tennis seriously. So I actually started off doing soccer, taekwondo, got to a red belt, quit that to play tennis. Played tennis at a high level in my teens, got injured. Then cricket, rugby league, touch footy, golf, bit of everything really. I just wasn't a good swimmer.
Yes.
That was pretty much the only thing, but that's pretty normal for a Middle Eastern kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loved it. I wouldn't change that, to be honest. And I only really took school seriously in the last probably 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, nice. You crammed it in for the exams.
I did, but it was because my mid-year results were shocking. I failed almost everything.
Yeah.
I remember getting 30 out of 100 in biology.
Yeah.
Which is nuts because I ended up with a sport and exercise science degree where we need biology. So, yeah, I just remember getting absolutely roasted by my parents, being like, mate, there's more than sports in this world.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was already, like my tennis career was gone because I was injured. Like, so it wasn't like I was going to become an athlete at that age. It was already done. So there was no sports career there to fall back on. It was you either get educated and do well or you're screwed.
Yeah.
I'm not a tradie. Don't know anything like that. So it would have been useless to drop out of school and have no good UAI at the time, which I think is an ATAR now, whatever it is. So, yeah, put my head down in the last 5 months, and averaged about 90 to 95 in everything from there. So it just taught me that if I apply myself, I can do really well. But yeah, I chose fun for the first 12 years of schooling. So it was still good. Don't regret it.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to your story, the school story.
Oh, look, I was never a
You're never an athlete, but like
I was never an athlete.
You know?
Yeah, the messaging was similar. I was always quite studious. Like I never had the turnaround. I was always quite studious. It depends how studious. So, I went from like. It was, I'll tell the story. And the pivotal moment that changed my life was my dad asked me, it was someone who came first in the class and I was doing well, but I wasn't coming first. And so that he asked me like, okay, well, what does first place eat? And I'm like, I don't know, food. What does first place drink? Water.
Typical immigrant story,
Classic.
man.
What does
the
first
Western
place,
Sydney story.
because you have to come first, right? So what does first place drink? Water. Okay, so if you eat food and you drink water, can you come first? Is what my dad told me. So it fundamentally transpired to today as well. There's no one who's out there that is more talented, more special, more anything than you are. If you do the things that you're required to do, you will get the outcome that comes along with that. It's just that very few people want to actually do the work and put in the hard yards and do the inputs to get the output.
100%. All right, so what's the pathway then from school into exercise physiology?
Oh, mate, so I actually didn't start off doing exercise physiology or even exercise science. So I still ended up with a decent score in my UAI, and my parents were like, hey, you got a good score. Why don't you become a civil engineer?
Bro. Acceptable career path.
They were like, they make good money. You should do it. And they called one of my friends who was a civil engineer or studied civil engineering. Yeah. And he just called me. He goes, look, your parents have told me to call you. I'm just going to let you know, don't do it. and I was like, and he's now a firefighter. So, so I started doing that. And then within 3 or 4 months, did my ACL playing footy. And did all the rehab with the physio. And I was like, this is actually what I want to do. I'd rather be doing rehab with sports injuries and things like that. And I got out really, really quick. Like, I was lucky. All my uni stuff was, all my HEX debts and all that were wiped out because of my injury. So I got to drop out after like 10 weeks, and I moved into a Bachelor of Human Movement at UTS. And then after that, I switched over to sports and exercise science undergrad. But I always wanted to work in the health and sports field. I wasn't sure where that would end up, to be honest. Did I want to work with sports teams? Did I want to help, people with special needs, older people with chronic conditions? And I think for me, the pathway or the deciding factor was working with one of my friends who was an Olympic shot putter. And at that stage, there was just the ceiling effect. Like, I couldn't help him that much. And I was like, what's the point? Why am I working with athletes? I didn't enjoy it, I couldn't help them. They were already good. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, by the time they come to me, they've already gone through all their sports teams, or even when you're working in the sports teams, like this, you're not going to go from here to here. So for me, I changed that. Obviously did my master's degree in exercise physiology, but when I started working, I worked with a whole range of people, but people with chronic conditions was the biggest thing. And so for me, I chose exercise physiology because I like the exercise intervention side of treatment.
Okay.
And I think scientifically, that's where the evidence is based.
Okay, that's probably going to help you answer this question, because this is something that I'm sure a lot of people struggle with, is what is the difference between exercise physiologist, chiropractor, physiotherapist?
Yeah.
I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah, so an exercise physiologist would generally treat and provide interventions and lifestyle interventions for people with subacute or chronic conditions, and they won't diagnose. So, and all of our treatment or interventions are movement-based or exercise-based, whereas a physio will diagnose, will be more hands-on. They provide extra things like massages, casting, all that sort of stuff that we don't do. So it is pretty much purely exercise or education-based. A chiropractor is a whole different story. I think it's very passive treatment, where you sort of sit back, you get adjustments or manipulations or whatever you want to call them. The physio is the in-between. Yes. We work very well alongside physios. So, for example, someone who gets injured in a car accident, at first they'll see the physio to help them with their range of motion and pain management. Yep. And then from there, they'll move on and see the exercise physiologist. For the movement based. So
I want to touch on that there. You said you got into sport, but you weren't quite sure, or you got into exercise phys, but you weren't sure, and you wanted to treat athletes, but you were finding your feet. And I think there's a lot of power in that you don't have to know what you're going to do. You just got to get your hands dirty a little bit. Yep. One of my good managers at Nexia once taught me, you just got to get your hands dirty with the file. You got to get your hands dirty with doing the work, and you'll find your place by naturally just, I tried this, I like this part, I didn't like this part, I pivoted a little bit, and then I helped the sport person, and then that's sort of how I end up at Latitude, in that I didn't want to do, I enjoyed accounting, but I didn't want to do accounting for the high net worth 20 mil plus individual who's already made it and is just moving money around. I want to be a part of the small business owner who's growing their career. And
you couldn't drive that passion or understand what you wanted to be until you got your hands dirty. Exactly. So you got out there, you tried something. Yeah, and you tried something, and you're like, okay, the passion isn't growing in the sports. There's a ceiling. 100%. But maybe if I work with these people, chronic illnesses, then I'm going to actually add value and make a difference. And then did that drive the passion to start High Performance Health? Yeah,
I think so. So not only that, I think that the power in, I guess, working for yourself. I think even if you worked a salary somewhere, I think it's really important to, if you do want to grow, I think it's really important to be proactive, Speak to your boss or your manager or your team and say, hey, throw me in the deep end. Give me things that aren't, that I'm not used to. Yep. You know what I mean? So the thing is, for me at the time, I didn't really know any clinic that would give me, I guess, the freedom to go, hey, you can do diabetes, you can do musculoskeletal, you can do neuro, you know what I mean? So they usually sort of stick you with the one thing and go, all right, get really good at this, and that's it. Whereas working for yourself, you really get to explore what you want to do. So that was good. But at the same time, there's power in, at the moment, like, I don't get everyone to just do one thing at work. I get them uncomfortable.
Yes.
To start seeing patients that they wouldn't normally see, to see if they like it. See if they're good at it, see if they can be challenged.
Yep.
I think you got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit,
yes.
which is really important.
Yeah.
But then you get to see people blossom into, growing in different areas, different fields, which is awesome.
You have to suck at something in order to then suck a little less in order to get good. 100%. And then in order to become great, and then in order to refine your skills. So, but the sucking is uncomfortable.
Yeah, it definitely is uncomfortable when you suck at things.
What about at work? What about at work?
That's a good point.
But the suck is I can't even say it. Let's move on.
So,
Oh man.
all right. So high performance health. You've got EPs. You've got physios. What
Yep.
else do you have in the clinic?
Psych,
Psych. Okay.
allied health assistants.
Yep.
We've got an OT that just does assessments for us at the moment, which sort of helps to plan what we can do for the rest of the year with the clients.
Yes.
What necessary treatments and things that they need, interventions. But that's something that, obviously, like we had the dietitian, we had the podiatrist back, before COVID. That all changed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that all changed, and so we became predominantly physio and exercise physiology.
Yep.
Because I just knew how that worked together, how that worked well, and then we brought in the psych component, which is really, really important as well. Because I was just seeing that, like sometimes there's only so much you can do physically.
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely need that psych component as well in terms of rehab and
Okay, so it's like a
Getting
holistic approach. Someone goes in, you guys are assessing them holistically, and then you're putting a plan together, I imagine.
Correct.
To pretty much rehabilitate someone.
Yeah, correct. And one of my roles as the director, I'm a bit less hands-on now with seeing patients, but one of my roles is when a new patient comes in,
Yes.
I'll look at, for example, if it's an NDIS client,
Yep.
they've got a certain amount of funding, and I go, okay, you've got this condition. I think that we can work as a team and go, hey, you need to see the physio, you should see the psych once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks.
Yep.
So I get to put that plan together, which is really fulfilling when you start to see them get better as well. And what we've been doing a lot of lately, probably the last year and a half, is helping people get access to different types of funding. And so we start planning their journey even before they start their services with us.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a point of difference that we've been, I think, providing that a lot of providers don't.
Yeah. All right. I want to change gears a little bit, and I want you to. I know you're a very nice guy, and you don't like to be aggressive. So I want you to find your aggressive and combative side. There's a lot of objections that come across when you're dealing, with health and in your space, and some people, not naming names, have said things like, okay, going to a clinic like High Performance Health is, you might just be getting a massage, or it's not effective, or they don't fix anything long term. It's just pain relief. What would you say to those objections?
To be honest, I wish that was a complaint that they had at our clinic, but it's not. So the complaints that we get is it's actually not. We actually challenge patients a lot, and doctors find it uncomfortable too. I get doctors saying, "Oh, mate, can you guys please provide 25 minutes of massage and 5 minutes of exercise rather than 30 minutes of exercise?" But for me, it's obviously case by case. But at the end of the day, we're not the type of clinic, and I think this is why we've become successful, is we're not the type of clinic that'll go, "Hey, I'm just going to do hands-on therapy for you. Come back twice a week for the next 7 weeks."
Yep.
I grew up working in Fairfield, where all I had access to was patients who had a Medicare referral 5 times a year. My job was to get them better within 5 sessions.
Yep.
So my thing is, I need to challenge you and teach you how to get better on your own. Because for me, I never looked at the financial component. So it's definitely effective. Like it's not just a massage.
Yeah.
Okay. So
what if we said then it's just too expensive?
How do you value your health? I guess like we'll try to work within people's budgets. It doesn't mean that we provide heaps of free services and stuff, but we do.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's over $100,000 a year of free services that we do provide for our local community.
That's impressive.
So
$100,000 a year of free services. What's that mean?
Yeah, so we provide free programs, or we just let people come for free after their funding's ended, or if they've come and they've got 5 sessions, they want a 6th and they can't afford it, but we see that they need to get better. then we'll give them that 6th session. For us, it's really a people first approach. At the end of the day, I think that when you work in a low socioeconomic area, I think you really need to put people first and money second, or money last, to be honest, not even second.
Yeah. What do you think then, being in that low socioeconomic area, and you touched on NDIS, so National Disability Insurance Scheme, is that what it's called?
Yep.
Can you tell me what you think about it?
Look, I think it's good and bad at the same time. So my issue with that, with the NDIS, is it's not consistent. So we've got participants that come to us that we've helped for years that just don't get the funding that they need. And then we've got other participants who there's barely anything wrong with them, and they go and get $200,000 or $300,000 a year of funding. So it's not a set.
Why is that discrepancy? Consistent. What's happening so that some people are getting overlooked and some people getting ridiculous numbers?
The issue is that the issue comes from the NDIS themselves. So when you look at actual planners, the people that put these plans together, none of them are actually health professionals. They're people who try to just look at KPIs.
Yeah.
They just tick boxes and go, okay, this is this, this is this. This will give you an extra $30,000 of funding. This won't. There's no actual...
Not a proper assessment of the health condition.
Correct. There's not a proper assessment of the health condition. And I think the issue with that comes with the NDIS skipping the medical component. So I don't know if you know, but the NDIS completely skips the medical component. So GPs, specialists, they're all out. None of them are included in that.
Who are the people, these people making the assessment? What expertise do they have?
Could be anything. There's no specific expertise. If you go online, look for a planning job, none of them, there's no requirements to be a health practitioner.
Is it?
And I think, I think the reason for that is that if they were a health practitioner, I think that they're worried that the health practitioners care too much and it might cost the government even more money.
Yes.
Which is the other side of it as well. So, but the issue is, like, when you look at the aged care sector and home care packages, you've got different tiers, and they end. The top tier is like $60,000 a year for a participant to get, help around the home, physio, and all that sort of allied health stuff as well. Whereas the NDIS, there's no cap.
Yeah.
But I think it keeps going because at the end of the day, as bad as this sounds, I reckon the government brought on the NDIS or privatized it or brought it to the general public because it created so many jobs.
Yep.
Like, I see people who were
for the economy.
Yeah, I see people who were jobless and weren't skilled to do anything now become support workers.
Right.
So
we're doing something that, Jacob.
I've seen huge amounts of growth in NDIS the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I first heard of NDIS. I don't know when it became commercialised or privatised, but I've heard about it
8 years ago.
Yeah, probably the last 4 or 5 years. I've really started to see it ramp up. And Emil's right. Like, people from all walks of life have gone into the space. And part of it, when you privatise, is you're trying to incentivise people to get into that space and do something and make something themselves. But like with any government scheme, it's going to have its holes. There's no perfect government scheme. It can't be perfect, especially when it's, taxpayer funded and all that sort of stuff. So it's just trying to make it better. But it's a hard one because what's the incentive for the government to it's not always putting the people and their health first. It's always multifaceted. It's always, how do we create jobs? How do we do this? How do we do that as well?
How do we get re-elected?
How do we get re-elected? There's only, so, and it's a huge one. And NDIS is such a contentious space because it's expensive. It's very sensitive. It's expensive, but it's also a very sensitive space. Like, you're talking about,
people with disabilities.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a sensitive space.
You can't win. You can't win if you come out and say, NDIS is no good, it's costing too much money. Well, obviously you don't care about disabled people, so then you're a grub.
That's right.
But obviously that's not the issue. The issue is the money being spent appropriately.
They just gaslight them. They gaslight each other. Both parties gaslight each other.
And when I hear like someone in the space is doing like 60% NDIS work, and you're saying, well, the people appropriating the funds have very low skill set or not necessarily health related, and they don't understand the needs of the people in the industry. I think, well, obviously this is could this be another case of governments wasting taxpayers' money?
Yes.
And as a tax agent,
shocking.
it's very upsetting. But if that's the case, It's like opening my eyes to that. In the health space, what do you think like the main challenges you're seeing that we're facing as a society at the moment?
I think when we look at our caseload, for example, I think you start to feel the ripple effect of what's happening in the economy. Obviously, people putting their wallets away, so our private caseload has decreased. And I think that there'll be a long-term effect to that, where people are generally unhealthier. Like gym memberships would have dropped around Australia.
I've got heaps of gym clients.
Exactly.
Really tough.
They're dropped. So with that comes, an increase of chronic conditions. Australians generally, I think it's like 60% or more are already overweight, and don't exercise. So that just adds up. So it's a tough place, because at the end of the day, there's a ripple effect, and it's not now. You don't see it right now, but people not taking care of their health ends up costing the government more money in the long term.
Correct. 100%.
So it's tough, but I think the key to that is at the same time is making sure your business is diversified, making sure you have multiple things. So for example, even the NDIS, they've started to cut funding. Yeah. So we need to be mindful of that.
Do you feel like the NDIS or the government programs, initiatives, they're dealing with symptoms rather than the cause? Because you mentioned obesity. What do you think, like, if you think that's the health issue we're facing, people not exercising and obesity, how do we fundamentally change society so people start to appreciate their health?
Oh, it's deep-rooted. I think it's very, very hard. I think it's very individualized, but at the same time, when you look at government funding, they don't even classify obesity as a chronic condition. So people with obesity can't see an exercise physiologist or a health practitioner based on Medicare. They have to have obesity plus another health condition.
Yeah, but that's easy to get, trust me.
Probably.
Once you got obesity.
Yeah, correct. You've probably got high cholesterol, you've probably got hypertension.
But then the thing is, you've got to that point now where you're compounding symptoms, and then it's probably harder to treat or harder to deal with someone because of the health conditions. So
correct. But there's not enough funding in general to, I guess, proactively keep people healthy. Yeah. I think it's very reactive. All of our policies in Australia are very reactive. There's nothing there.
I've got a solution in mind, okay? Yeah. This morning we got the family chat. So my dad on the family chat put up 3 videos at 7 a.m. It's the opening ceremony for the Olympics. So he put up 3 videos. The first one, obviously, because my dad's Lebanese and very proud, was the boat carrying the Lebanese team. And there was about 5 Lebanese athletes, and they were like taking their jackets off, waving them around. They were going off. So good. And it was awesome. Lebanon, party capital of the world, so they had to party and show off like that. My dad was
the
very
drums
proud.
on the
as you do.
The number two video was the Australian team. Yes. So they probably filled up. Like, it was the Lebanese team had like a few people on the top of this boat. Then the Australian boat, they filled up probably about half the boat. And I thought, that's all right. That's not a bad showing for the Australian team. We've got a lot of people. And then the third video he sent was USA. Yeah. And bro, let me tell you, Team USA was 2 boatloads of people, 500 athletes going across.
Bloody hell.
And look, I'm not saying USA is the epitome of health and where we should be looking and to combat obesity, but neither is Australia. But something that you spoke on in your youth was the fact that sport was a big part of what drove you, and even finding, your career, sport played a part in that. I know when I look at my life, I've been like up and down on my weight and managing it. But the times in my life when I was healthiest, fittest, most active is when I had a passion for sport. So rugby league growing up, playing footy with the boys, my footy teams, representative. When I had something to like look forward to play sport, even now when it's like playing OzTag or doing something like that, I'm probably in better shape than when it's off season. So why don't we use these initiatives to push sport? Put more money into sport,
100%.
Encourage that, and not just as a kid, but lifelong sport. Because if we can all, tie into that, and then stay healthier for longer, and we should stop looking at sport as like this is something you do as a kid. You should do it all of life.
100%. And I think sport is very, very, very important. I think especially in the society that we have now, where you are interacting through phones and social media and all that sort of stuff, I think people really underestimate how powerful sport is for the social aspect of life as well, and the emotional and psychological side. But at the same time, I think parents pushing their kids into getting into sport is so important, because now, like as an adult in my 30s, what do I do when I'm bored? I play sport.
Yeah.
Like, because when I was bored as a kid, I played sport. That's what made me happy. Yeah. Rather than being on my phone 24 hours a day, I'll play sport. Even when I'm on my phone, I'm watching sport.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
that's
but we do need to throw a lot more money into sport, a lot more, I think.
Yeah, I think that's one of the solutions. So, mate, I brought you in here today because I want to hear about your journey, and thanks for sharing that with me. But more so, what I'm finding interesting, because I'm watching you through social media and the business grow, and through the numbers, because, you know, we're accountants, but you've grown a team and you've grown a business. High Performance Health was the health improvement service of the year 2023. So can you tell me how you guys are different when it comes to service and dealing with your clients, and what drives the passion or the business to focus on people so much?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us and our success is hiring people who have the same mentality as me. I think they all believe in people firstly. Every one of my team members will go above and beyond for every single person that comes, and we actually take it to heart when someone doesn't improve. And so that's a really, really big thing.
Yeah. You got to love the people then.
You have to. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's draining. Some patients are really hard on us, to be honest. When they don't improve, we take it personally. Yeah. I see it. Like I talk to the team. Sometimes they actually take it personally and they get hurt. Yeah. And I get that. But we go above and beyond trying to help and trying to make people not only better, but to feel as if they're part of the team the second they walk through the door.
Yeah, I think that's the same in accounting. So like with us, for you, it's, you know what, it just seems so much more like noble, because your health. Like when you're talking,
same,
I'm like
all throughout different business.
I know it's the same. Like fundamentally for us, it's the same. When someone comes in, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, how can I help them feel no pain or stress about their finances? Yeah. How can I make sure they got money to pay, you know, the mortgage and the car repayments and pay the kids' school fees? How am I going to reduce stress in their family? And like the love and the passion for accounting has to come from loving the clients, loving the people. And Jacob, you also, I feel like when you're dealing with clients, it comes across because you've got that empathy.
Yeah, it's hard because Emil's right. Like so I'm very empathetic as a person. I'm not sure if you know, but so in my mind, I'm going through the client's highs and lows with them, and so it's a good thing because I love my clients. I love dealing with them. I love seeing them do well, but it also affects me when they don't do so well, and when something's not turning around like we thought it would, and I sort of, you take that on a little bit. So it's got its pros and cons, but fundamentally, I think if you're a service-based business owner, the game is simple. You have to put your client first. You have to love your client, and you have to make sure you're doing everything in your business to make your client's life better, easier, and overall just better. But so yeah, people first, and then just so we know as well. Like, so you said money last. It doesn't matter where money is in the ranking, because so I wouldn't say money last because I'm an accountant, but fundamentally, there has to be two things. Number one, if you take care of your people, if you take care of your clients, you will make money. It's just the law of human 100%. Nature, and it's the way money works. And then the second thing is you need money to keep the lights on, so you can keep providing more services to more people and take care of more people and do more noble things in society, and then fund that money into other things that go even further on your root cause. So put people first, and then money will follow from there. And it's hard, but I think it's the only way for a service-based business owner to survive.
Yeah, no, that's it, mate. So that passion comes through for the service. And then the other thing is, you said, well, recruit people who think like me. Yeah. So tell me, as a leader in your business, like your team's growing all the time. I see it on Instagram. How are you leading and how are you motivating your team? I don't know if you know the answers, but if you had some answers.
I think it's funny, like growing up watching sport, you know Wayne Bennett.
Yeah.
And what's Wayne Bennett? He doesn't do anything special other than genuinely care about every single individual that he works with.
Have you read the book, Emil?
I haven't.
Oh, excellent read. You
Yeah.
have to.
Every time someone says Wayne Bennett, you have to bring up.
You gotta
this
read the book.
I'm gonna. If I hear you talk about Wayne Bennett,
Is there an audio version?
I'm
There
gonna
is.
do
That's
that.
how I
I
listen
can't
to
sit
it.
still to
No,
be
no,
able to
I
read.
listen to the Audible.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic book, and it talks about exactly what you're about.
Is he the one reading it in the audio
No,
version?
I wish he did.
Okay.
No, well, you wouldn't hear. He's very introverted.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
be the greatest. But he talks about the exact approach. There, I don't know if you're a Broncos fan. You remember there was a forward who was just he played like 1 or 2 first grade NRL games. He was off. He cracked the team and he was on the bench and he had some issues in his life. And the opening of the book talks about how Wayne Bennett took this guy who didn't even play played a couple of first grade NRL games and invested so much into helping him develop as a human. And a lot of it comes from Wayne Bennett's dad, who was not around and left him at a very young age. And so he became that father figure for younger men coming through the sporting world. And so he's very much a man manager, very much if I can get someone to be happy and if I can get someone to be doing well in their life, their work is going to reflect the positive changes we've made in their life. So he sacrificed his whole life. It's not an easy thing. Like Wayne Bennett sacrificed a lot of his marriage, a lot of his time, a lot of his energy to just be there with the team and grow with them and grow them as people. I'll come up with a name. You know him. He's an ex-forward, and it's a remarkable story. But sorry, I'll interrupt so you can go on.
No. That's but it's true. I think one of two things. Obviously, I genuinely care about every single person that works with us and works with our clients. But secondly, I like challenging the team and getting them to come up with projects and little passion projects that they like working on, and make sure they go out of their comfort zone a little bit as well. So the other thing is they work really, really well as a team. So a lot of clinics will be just individual, Jacob sees the patient and that's it. It's Jacob's patient. Yeah. With us, it's not like that. I think we really work together. Yeah. Like each patient really might see 3 or 4.
Milk out the client, rinse them out for as many consults as you can get.
No, they've already got the funding. So whether it's just Jacob rinsing it out, no. So we work really, really well as a team. And I think the other thing is I want them to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's got to be fun. I don't believe anyone will do anything if it's not fun.
That's right.
Like if they don't enjoy it, they won't do it.
There's 2 things I want to say here. Number one is, so I was watching a podcast with Sabri Subi last night, and he said that there's a trade-off. So people will work for you, but it depends what you can give them, right? And one of those levers is money. One of them is like fulfillment, whatever. There's a heaps of different silos of what you can give someone. But the worse your culture is, the more you would have to pay someone to work with you. So as a small business especially as well, you don't have unlimited resources. You don't have billions of dollars backing. You're not a government who can just spend money and attract talent.
Yep.
So you have to leverage, can we give them culture? People will work for you for less. Can we give them culture? Can we give them coaching? Can we give them training and development? All those sorts of things. And that's what your competitive advantage is as a small business owner, not necessarily money as number one. Number 2, Emil, specifically for you, I think I've been thinking about why you've done well. And part of it, I think you mentioned earlier, you had in the past, your model was, and I remember working on your file at this model, where it was you would at multiple medical centers and you would have people working at multiple medical centers and whatever. But when you have that, it's difficult to build culture. And so,
possible.
And so when you bring, and physio, I know a few physios. Physio is a space where it's the businesses are generally 3 to 5 staff members, or they're quite small typically, and so it's really hard to build strong culture. But when you put yourself in a space that can accommodate more people, that you can get your team in, and you said they like each other, they can have fun together, and they just enjoy. They're all passionate. They're all aligned. That culture is part of what makes A, your business special, and B, is part of what helps you manage your staff without even feeling like you're managing your staff, because you're just putting in an environment where they're thriving, and then so it makes your job a little bit easier to then guide them on the specifics as well. So that's something I've noticed. I don't know if you, but I don't think you give yourself enough credit for that.
I think, for sure, bro. Thanks. I think a key thing with, I guess, my management skills, I don't micromanage. I don't look and go, why is there a half an hour gap there? Do something. Do you know what I mean? I think I trust everyone with their caseload, with their work. I trust that they're doing the best for their clients and for our team. And I see a lot of places, I see a lot of clinics really fail because they just micromanage.
Yep.
They spend more time with KPI. I actually don't have KPIs for my team.
Yeah.
I literally don't. I see the KPIs, but I don't communicate it. I don't say, hey, you need to hit this. It's not that. You need to do what's best for you need to do what's best for the clients, okay, first, and what's best for the team. And then when that is done, you'll do well.
Yeah.
You'll be busy. You'll succeed.
I don't like the micromanagement model, not because you feel like your boss is just staring down at you all day, and it sucks working for a micromanager. Obviously, that's number one reason why I hate it. The other thing is it's just inefficient. All right, it's inefficient. Think of the energy expenditure you need to put out to micromanage someone is the most tiring thing in the whole world. Like someone like me who. I don't like having to tell you to do something twice. Yeah. If I have to micromanage you, that means I've given you a task, you failed somehow, you haven't done it on time, you've forgotten about it, you deleted the email. I have to come back and say to you, okay, now you have to do this, and then this half an hour block you have to do this, and now you've done that, now I want you to go do this, and why'd you forget that? If that was the best use of my time, it means I'm pathetic. Like my time as a leader, as a business owner, has to be spent doing the things that moves the needle the most to push the business forward. If I had time to sit down and micromanage you, okay, I wouldn't be running a business that's doing as well as it is right now. So when you say micromanagement's not my style, like thankfully it's not, because I don't think any business that's full of micromanagement actually ever goes anywhere. If you have to babysit people,
100%.
and the name of your business is High Performance Health. And I think one of the things you're doing is building a high-performance team. Yeah. And with high-performance teams, yes, the culture is important, and the fact that they want to be there is important, and that they love the people is important. But also, you can now run a business that's successful enough where you don't have to micromanage them. You can pay them the most. You can reward them the most. Like at Latitude Accountants, we feel like we pay people the most. We reward them the most. We have the best culture. We bring them in and we make them all feel like they're going to be the best accountants ever. But I can't do that if I'm sitting there micromanaging, every single person every day. They need to have the drive and the motivation from when they walk in the door to want to be the best accountant and to give the best result for their client. If they didn't come in with that motivation, no amount of money or culture is going to change that, right? Yeah. You can see it on their face. Yeah. Man, if you come into our office and you don't want to be here, you'll last 2 weeks. We'll tell you to piss off. I don't care. We'll tell you to go home. It's no problem, okay? I'm not lucky because you're here, you know what I mean, working for me. Like, you're lucky if you're here. If you're here working for us and you're working for our clients and they're trusting you and they're paying you with their hard-earned, then you have to turn up with a little bit of like a desire to want to learn, want to grow, want to strive. And that is what I think is sort of being lost out of culture. And that's the struggle as business owners. Like, we will face it now. It's like bringing in people. It's like, okay, your mum and dad told you were the best, but really you're not the best until you actually go out and do something in the world, and make a difference and actually prove that you're the best. I don't care if your mum and dad told you they're the best. Yeah. All right. You're not the best until you turn up, you work hard, you learn. Accounting is hard. Yeah. Just like, being a physio or an EP is hard. Like, it takes 10 years to become an expert. When kids are online and they're seeing influencers and they're like making money in 2 years, all right, and then it's like, okay, and I say, come in 10 years' time, I'll train you up to be the best accountant, and in 20 years' time, you can be the king like me. That's a long time, man, 20 years. Like, there's a lot of like Instagram shorts in between now and then, or reels or whatever it is. I've got to flick. That's a lot of 12
videos. Hours a day worth generally. Yeah.
So I think you got to tap into people, and high performance health is building a high performance team, and I think if you continue to do that, that's why you're going to basically take out the competition. Anyway, some rapid fire thoughts, opinions, shorter as long as you like. I want your opinion on these things.
Nice.
I want both your opinion. I think we should all have a dig.
This is a new segment.
I get an opinion or what?
I get,
Jacob?
and I don't want you to hold back. So like NDIS overall, it's good and bad. Keep it or lump it.
Keep it, regulate it, get rid of people who own companies or manage companies who aren't health professionals. And I say that because you can't actually have an aged care and home care license without having to be a health professional for, I think, 5 years. Yep. And I think if the NDIS did that in the first place, we would have been in a much better
much keep it, place. Just fix it.
Keep it,
get rid of the corrupt elements.
Yep.
And make sure that people know what they're doing.
Correct.
Jacob, NDIS?
I got really controversial views.
Yeah,
so I'm going to say keep it and leave it there.
It's not a wholehearted keep it, but just keep it.
Oh no. I back the idea.
Yeah.
I would overhaul it quite dramatically. So let's just keep it.
I would too.
But overhaul it quite dramatically.
Yeah. Reformer Pilates.
I think it's a cult, but any cult that's healthy, go for it. Yeah. I think it's.
Can you explain to me what Reformer Pilates is? Because I see people. Great. This is. I want to explain to you what I know.
Unreal. I actually think it's bro.
Let me just introduce you to what I know. Reformer Pilates is. Reformer Pilates is a girl on Instagram buys a new machine and she takes it to her house and she posts it and she's like, I'm going to get abs now. And then now all of a sudden, that's one part. And the other part of it is Bronson Sherry from the Bulldogs and that lady Helen from south of Sydney. And everyone says, thank you, Helen, because all the football players go to this Reformer Pilates and they post it online.
Yeah.
What is it, a fad? What
it's
is
very,
it?
No, it's not a fad. Yeah. It's very hard. Bro, it's been around for years and years and years. It's very hard. It's actually very hard to do the exercise. And it's not exercises that you do in a normal gym setting. A lot of it is you're working your muscles or your joints in an end range, bro. It's very hard. Like I think it's unreal. I think it's a very good thing. I think a lot of people should do it. I do not do it.
Okay.
If I found it really accessible and cheap, I think a lot more people would do it. I think it's very expensive. There is value in it.
Yeah.
Why is a reformer machine so expensive?
Do you have a machine, Jacob?
I don't know.
Here's a confession.
It's like $3,000, $4,000.
Yeah. Have you done reformer
Pilates?
Pilates?
Expensive. Let me tell you. I hurt my back, as you would know, earlier, late last week. And, I know a few
carrying
physios.
the team in Billings this week.
I crashed in Billings. Signed a few clients. But, bro, I, as of this week, am a big advocate. I think it's excellent. My core, I've been, normally, the weakest part of my body is my core because I never engage it.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a little bit of this Pilates situation. And, bro, I'm activating my core a lot.
We didn't pre-plan this. Have you gone to Pilates all of a sudden?
I swear to you. I know some people that have gone into the Pilates space.
What's it like when you go in?
I haven't been into a studio. I've had private treatment. But it's excellent. I back it. There's actually another story about this as well. I was in a group at uni. And a couple of girls in the group were going to Pilates together, and the boys would always give them crap because, we were doing hypertrophy, lifting weights, all that sort of stuff. And, bro, then we went to the beach one day.
Yeah.
We're all, we're trying to shred down for summer, this and that. We're still at 16% body fat. So we're not in the best shape. We're all right. We're not in the best shape, bro. These girls that went to Pilates, let me tell you,
abs.
Diced to, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Diced to the core. We stopped teasing about Pilates after we went to the beach.
I saw your sister posted a Pilates machine online. Emilia, shout out to Emilia, high performance health.
Emilia's got abs.
I said to her, what's wrong with just going on a walk? And she goes, going on a walk won't give you abs.
No.
You know what I mean? So there you go. The Reformer Pilates, it's yes and yes. It's a goer. Yeah. Hot take on chiropractors.
No comment.
There's so much beef.
Not comment.
Is there, you know how there's a acai bowl war, right? Like the acai wars? You got Bill from Acai Underworld. Yeah. And then there's the monkey, thirsty monkey. So there's this big war. Is there a chiropractor physio EP wars coming to Instagram?
It's not coming. I think it's been around. I think it's been around for a long time. Look, I think that there is a place for chiropractors.
Just not anywhere near you. Like how many Ks out of Fairfield?
Like we've been offered, there's been chiropractors approach us wanting to work with us. And the reason I don't like it is I think that most chiropractors, not all, but most, will just purely do passive treatment. And I do not believe in passive treatment. I don't believe in you come to see me. Right. I'll crack you, you're suddenly better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'd rather train you
I see what you're
and teach you on what to do to help you, because scientifically, the science is behind exercise or more active treatment to get you better.
So helping you help yourself as opposed to helping you.
Plus, like with the more conservative treatment like exercise or let's say massage or hands-on that isn't cracking, I think there's less risk.
Yeah.
I've seen people go to hospital and have strokes because their neck has been manipulated. So that just doesn't...
Yeah.
That's why I'm very cautious.
Just for me, I've been to both, and like I've seen value in both types of treatment. Like when I do go to a chiro, pain relief, cracking, massage, all those things, like I really enjoy it. I go back. Horses for courses, I think. So
correct.
There's a place for both.
There is a place for both, for sure.
Liver King.
Fraud.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, he's a fraud.
Because of the steroids?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think, don't get me wrong, I think his diet and all that, the lifestyle is great, but
the 9 tenets of like ancestral living, don't you believe in them? Do you sun your balls?
I have before on my rooftop, yeah. No.
The Liver King, so he's got the 9 tenets of ancestral living. It's just really the whole steroids thing that got you, right? That's
what it was, because I followed him, and I thought, bro, this guy's good, I like him. You know, he's teaching men to be men. I think that's really good. Like... but I just the whole steroid thing just really, it's pretty disappointing, to be honest.
So is it because, all right, I'm trying to understand. Is it
cheating? You're selling a lifestyle.
He's selling supplements and a lifestyle, and saying
but the lifestyle's fake.
And he's saying, I don't take supplements, like, I don't take performance enhancers, and then he does it to look that way. So then you think if I just buy his products, then I'll basically look like him when you won't. And you can eat as much liver as you want, and you're not going to look that jacked.
Is the controversy that he blank said, I'm not on drugs, and then he was?
Yeah.
Did he ever go out and say? Like,
yeah, correct. That was one thing, but I just think that you cannot sell something based and create a whole lifestyle in this movement of, I'm like this because I did this and this. But when you're actually not like this because of this and this. Yeah, there's health benefits to what you're doing, but that's not what it is.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's steroids.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you still, even on steroids, you still got to work like a dog to look as well as he does.
If you're on steroids, tell me you're on steroids.
Correct, just say it.
It's just
but if he said he was on steroids from the get-go, I guarantee you he wouldn't have a successful business.
Wouldn't have got rich off the supplements.
He wouldn't.
So do you like steroids?
No. I think peptides and human growth hormone need to be utilized a lot more in society, but...
So like for elderly men as they age, should they all be considering TRT and like hormone, whatever?
Yeah. It's controversial, but I just think we're not there scientifically yet to say, hey, this is clean. Yeah, you should do this without these side effects.
You say it needs to be regulated and
it needs to be regulated. Yeah, correct. You're not going to...
You shouldn't buy steroids from the guy at the gym.
Yes.
All right, done.
Because he's not going to...
Jacob, no more steroids, yeah?
Sorry, bro. I have to change gyms now. Pilates.
Do you get the Pilates? Yeah, you don't get steroids at the Pilates place.
It's all good.
I went on a keto diet and lost 65 kilos. And then I put a lot of it back on. But it really worked for the time I was on it. Like I cut out sugar completely and I did notice a massive rapid weight loss. But then obviously when I reintroduced carbohydrates and sugar, I did like bounce. What's your thoughts on ketogenic diets?
I think I'm not a fan of any extreme diets. I think that there needs to be balance all up, because I don't want people to do something that will only last 3 or 6 months, because once they stop doing that, they just go back to their natural state. Yeah. So I'm a fan of just
counting calories. Not even.
Not necessarily.
Just eating healthy foods.
Just eating healthy
Cut
foods.
out processed stuff, sugar.
Yeah, if you
exercise,
can.
Move your body.
Exercise. Yeah, move as much as you can. Like, to be honest, even in society now, like even our healthy food's not that healthy.
Okay. Today's Bulldogs versus Brisbane. So
we should have wore our jerseys. I was saying, Brad.
We've got two Brisbane fans here and a Bulldogs fan, and I'm hoping the Bulldogs win today. Can you give me your score prediction for the game today and who will win?
Tough one. Emil, you go.
As a Brisbane fan, please tell me.
I think the Broncos win 30-14.
Jacob?
It's a really hard one. I think the Broncos win 30-26.
Okay, I'm going to go out and say Bulldogs win and they win 24-12, and Burden kicks 4 out of 4.
All right. See what happens.
One last hot take from you, if you don't mind. Donald Trump.
Oh, look, I actually loved him until he denied knowing who Julian Assange and WikiLeaks was.
So you're a
So
fan of Julian
You're a
Assange?
big Julian Assange.
Yeah, I'm a
fan,
huge fan of that.
Yeah.
He's actually
Freedom of speech.
Yeah,
Freedom
Julian
of press.
Assange is actually my role model. He's actually the one person dead set.
Actually?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I absolutely love Julian Assange. So
Why?
I just think it's the honesty, the truth, having the courage to do what he did. I think no one else has ever done that before.
Did you see the criticism about him?
No.
Okay, so the criticism is like he put American troops and the military at risk and all that sort of thing. I'm not saying I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I like Julian Assange, is the honest truth. But yeah, that's the critique of him. But I'm curious, what you say on that.
Yeah, no, I think it's rubbish. I think I think it's very clear what the US and Australia and England and all them did at war was wrong. Invasions and all those sorts of things. We can go for hours on that topic. Yeah. But going back to Trump, I actually really liked him. Don't get me wrong, he says some ridiculous things. I think he's extremely misogynistic, he's rude, he's whatever. But I like how brutal he is, how, he's a dominant person. He knows what he wants. He rules every room that he walks into, and it's good. And I think he's for the people. But the second he denied Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, I knew we all got played.
Yeah.
And he's part of the establishment, just like the rest.
Any views?
I can't.
You know what? On that, let me say this.
Keep in mind, he got in because WikiLeaks released the Hillary Clinton emails and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, and he knew, his whole campaign was, WikiLeaks did this, blah, blah, blah. So for him to deny it at the end of his presidency was very interesting.
Here's what I will say. In anyone, there are good and bad things. So like, you're talking about you liked a lot of his policies, you don't like him in this regard. I think to look at someone like Donald Trump and think he's stupid, he's dumb, he's unelectable, or he's a dictator,
it's all
he's that.
Ridiculous.
Just take a step back and think, in 2016, the American people voted for this man. And, say what you will about America, but the most economically advanced people probably to ever exist voted in this man willingly, freely in an election. So you're calling when you call Donald Trump stupid, this, that, you're also really
marginalising half the people, half the the Americans that voted for him. So it was like when Hillary called them what was that?
I know what you're saying, but I can't remember.
The degenerates or something to that effect. It's like you can't write off half the population.
You can't write off half the population.
All right, mate, it's been good having you on. Just to help tie this up, can you please tell us where we can find more about you and High Performance Health?
Yep. So you won't find me personally because I don't have a social media. But you will find High Performance Health on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok. It's just at High Performance Health. Give us a follow and shoot us a message if you've got any questions. If you need us to guide you or help you in any way, or a family member, let us know.
100% epic.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having you on, and well done. Keep going hard.
Thanks, fellas.
And I'm sure we'll do this again.
Pleasure.
Yep, definitely.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.